Good morning, dear children. Today we are going to start with third chapter of history, and this is the last chapter of history in your syllabus. The name of the chapter is Nazism and the Rise of Hitler. Children, you all are familiar with Hitler, but do you know which policy did he follow? He went for Nazism. Nazism, it is his ideology, his idea of politics and ruling the world. He wanted to make Germany a mighty power. He differentiated between the Jews and the Aryans. He was against Jews. He hated them and murdered them. And he was in favor of Aryans and always gave them the preference in each and every field. Today, in this chapter, we are going to study about the Allied powers, the genocidal war, and many new terms which you all might not be knowing, and how he propagated his ideology of Nazism, how he murdered Jews and opened different schools and organizations, even formed associations for training Aryans and making them more and more powerful day by day, year by year. So let's start with the explanation of the chapter in different parts. So children, I was telling you about Hitler and his Nazism. Nazism, it is a structure of ideas about the world and politics. So let's see how he became so powerful and followed the policy of Nazism. So let's have a look at what is Nazism. Nazism, it is known as National Socialism. It refers primarily to the ideology and practices of the Nazi Party under Adolf Hitler and the policies adopted by the government of Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945, a period also known as the Third Reich. So children, it is the practice of the Nazi Party under the leadership of Adolf Hitler and his government in Germany, that is Nazi Germany, from 1933 to 1945. The official name of the party was National Socialist German Workers' Party, and the Nazis were one of the several historical groups that used the term National Socialism to describe themselves, and in the 1920s they became the largest such group. Nazism is generally considered by scholars to be a form of fascism, and while it incorporated elements from both political wings, it formed most of its temporary alliances on the political right. Among the key elements of Nazism were anti-parliamentarism, ethnic nationalism, racism, collectivism, eugenics, anti-Semitism, opposition to economic liberalism and political liberalism, anti-communism and totalitarianism. So children, it is a group where the different groups are there. Nazism was not a monolithic government. but rather mainly German, but rather a combination of various ideologies and groups, sparked at its full by anger at the Treaty of Versailles and what was considered to have been a Jewish communist conspiracy known in the vernacular as to humiliate Germany at the end of the First World War. So, children, Nazism refers to the practices of the Nazi Party under Adolf Hitler and the policies which are adopted by the government of Nazi Germany. So, it's a government and it followed various differentiation modes to differentiate between the Jews and the Aryans. So, this is the map you can go through German occupied Europe, and it is also given in the book. You can go through it and study it. Then Nazis parties rise to power in the year 1928 and it continued to be on top till the year 1933. In 1928, Hitler's Nazi party were a small, insignificant party. So in the beginning when it was formed, it was very small party. And his party, they enjoyed little success in elections and were viewed as little more than thugs by the political elite. By 1933, however, Hitler was the Chancellor of Germany. The Nazis had risen from obscurity to power, total power. So his party, his power has gone from the small power and slowly it has risen to total power. Now, what were the factors that took him into the total power, that made him the supreme power? So, Streseman's death, the Wall Street crash, economic instability, failure of the Weimar government to cope with problems, weakness of the constitution, effective use of propaganda, force are used against opponents, wide-ranging populist policies, visible strength at a time of weakness. So children, these are some of the factors which made Hitler so powerful. So one by one we will be studying in detail about these factors. First of all, children, do you know Hitler was a powerful speaker. With his speech, he got control over the common people. He assured the people that he will get rid of the problems which the country was facing after the First World War. He also promised people that he will work for the betterment of his country, of his people. He will provide with the job opportunities and he will remove all the problems and also remove the economic crisis from the country. The people, being so innocent, they came under his talks, under his fake promises, and they supported Hitler. And Hitler, with his speech, with his power, got popularity day by day, and also the people, they joined hands with Hitler. First of all, let's see what was the Wall Street crash. The Wall Street crash of 1929, that is October 1929, was also known as the Great Crash, and the stock market crash of 1929 was the most devastating stock market crash in the history of the United States, taking into consideration the full extent and duration of its fallout. The crash signaled the beginning of the 12-year Great Depression that affected all industrialized countries and did not end in the United States until 1947. So children, the, the support in this Wall Street crash here, when the country was in crisis, this USA stock exchange, Wall Street exchange, it helped the country from the economic crisis. And during the time of crisis, the support was withdrawn from the Wall Street exchange. It crashed in the year 1929. Here, fearing a fall in prices, people made frantic efforts to sell their shares. On a single day, on 24th of October, 13 million shares were sold, and thus began the Great Economic Depression. Over the next 3 years, between 1929 and 1932, the national income of the USA fell by half, and on the whole, the factories were shut down, exports fell, farmers were badly hit, and speculators withdrew their money from the market. The effects of this recession in the US economy was felt worldwide, and the German economy was the worst hit by this economic crisis. By year 1932, industrial production was reduced, workers lost their jobs, or they were paid very less. The number of unemployed touched to 6 million. So the condition of Germany and its people was very worse. This economic crisis created deep anxieties and fears in people. The middle classes children, especially salaried employees and pensioners, they saw their savings diminish. Why? Because the currency lost its value. Small businessmen, self-employed, and retailers, they suffered as their business got ruined. So this was the Wall Street crash, and its effect was very worse on Germany. And the timing of the Great Depression, it varied across nations. But in most countries, it started in 1929 and lasted till 1930s or early 1940s. It was the longest, most widespread, and the deepest depression of the 20th century. The depression originated, as I have told you, in the US, starting with the fall in stock prices that began around September 4th, 1929, and became worldwide news with the stock market crash of October 29. It was also known as Black Tuesday. From there, it quickly spread to almost every country in the world, and this led to economic instability in Germany. And another reason, as I have told you, was the failure of Weimar Republic. Germany's Weimar Republic was hit hard by the Depression as American loans to help rebuild the German economy now stopped. Unemployment went up, especially in larger cities, and the political system veered toward extremism. The unemployment rate reached nearly 30% in 1932, bolstering support from the anti-capitalist Nazi and communist parties, which both rose in the years following the crash to altogether possess a Reichstag majority following the general election in July 1932. Repayment of the war reparations due by Germany was suspended in 1932 following the Lucerne Conference of 1932. By that time, Germany had repaid 1/8 of the reparations. So children, this is, as I have told you, it's the caption in the newspaper. Then Hitler and the Nazi party came to power in January 1933, establishing a totalitarian single party state within months and initiating the path towards World War II, the most devastating conflict in world history. So children, these are the two factors which we have discussed today in our class. You can go through the chapter as it is given in more detail for better understanding and to learn step by step the events which took place in Germany. In the next class, we will be studying about more factors as to how Hitler rose to power. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a good day.